You're watching Taste the Victory.
Welcome to the first deck profile of 2023. This is so exciting. So we're going to start off with a bang with the most anticipated deck of the new set, Booster Set 11, or really should I say the most dreaded deck of Booster Set 11, because BlackWarGreymon X is going to be very powerful. Basically the deck to beat that you have to keep in mind when building for Booster Set 11. We see here the new card that is introduced in this set, which is BlackWarGreymon X. It's really more kind of just like support updating the deck rather than completely changing how it plays or anything like that. So it's kind of more of just control options to answer your opponent's board. But if we see here, we have the new BlackWarGreymon X. This one is 5 Digivolve from a Black or Red level 5, 13,000 DP. It Digivolves from 2 from BlackWarGreymon specifically though. It has Reboot. Opponent's turn, when your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP attack, you may switch the target of attack to this Digimon. And opponent's turn, once per turn, when a Digimon becomes unsuspended, if this Digimon is BlackWarGreymon or X Antibody in its Digivolution cards, you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with this lowest play cost. And that does just say when a Digimon becomes unsuspended, so this does synergize with your own Reboot keyword that you see up here. Another good roadblock for your opponent to have to answer before they can swing at your stuff after you already done so much to answer their board. And there's an option card in this deck that pushes the control of this deck to absurd levels that we're going to see in just a second. So let's start looking at our bottom end and work our way up to see how we are supporting this strategy. So first up, we are running 5 eggs, and I normally don't do that because I usually insist that you want to max out on the egg that you want to see, and that's it, to not have to worry about drawing an inferior egg in the wrong moment. But in the case of BlackWarGreymon, neither egg is bad, and you're gonna go into grind games sometimes, so it's good to have that extra draw. First up is the Koromon from Booster Set 5. It's when attacking, if this Digimon has Greymon or Agumon in its name, you get to trigger draw 1. So pretty self-explanatory, easy to meet draw condition. And then we have the more recent Koromon from Booster Set 9. When this Digimon has Agumon or Greymon in its name, it gets plus 1000 DP, so you don't even need to attack. So that comes up in some niche scenarios when DP will be important without needing to trigger the attack first. So that's pretty cool there, and that is a your turn effect. So between this DP boost and between this Agumon, which gives plus 2000 DP, that puts you at 16, which puts you above most level 7s. So you're pretty much safe from all checks and security more or less, since this deck does not have battle protection. It's going to be running the new Greymon X that we're going to see in a second that has different kinds of protection. But yeah, good draw and good DP boosting. Then we have our 14 rookies, starting off with the only black rookie. This is the Agumon from Booster Set 8. It is a searcher that on play reveals top 4, and you get to add 1 card with Greymon and 1 card with Dragon Kid in its name and in its traits among them to your hand. So it's really great to be able to grab multiple cards. That's the best kind of searcher we can ask for in this game, because this not only gets you a Greymon, so if you're missing a level 5, you also get a BlackWarGreymon if you reveal that on the search, so that's fantastic there. Then we have Agumon from Booster Set 5. This one is on play, also a searcher, except it only reveals the top 3, and you get to add 1 card with Greymon in its name and 1 card with Agumon in its name among them to your hand. So basically just more consistency. We want as much draw power as we can get. Then we have Agumon X Antibody. This is introduced in Booster Set 9. 0 to Digivolve from an Agumon and from any level 2 red. 2000 DP, and then on play or when Digivolving, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Greymon or Agumon in its name and 1 X Antibody among them to your hand, and bottom deck the rest. This is really great synergy with your deck because you have multiple on-play searchers here. So if you really need to dig for a piece, something you could do is hard slam one of these searchers, and then you could Digivolve for free into the X version and get an additional top 3 search. So if you really need to see something because you're missing important pieces, that is a really great, potentially cheap way to search more cards. Then we have our last Agumon, which is going to be the promo, which has been reprinted recently, thankfully. 3 memory to Heart Slam, 0 from a level 2, 2000 DP, and then inheritable. This Digimon has Greymon in its name, get plus 2000 DP. Plus 2000 is a lot. Most of these kind of effects only give you plus 1, so for such an easy condition to meet, everything in this deck is basically named Greymon. That is a huge boost. Very important to make sure you live over stuff in security. That rounds up our rookies, so we're moving on to our champions. We start off with the Greymon from Booster Set 8. It is able to Digivolve from a red or black level 3, so that's great because we do have that 1 of Black Agumon in our rookie lineup. It is 6000 DP, which is quite a lot for a champion, and it has a heritable effect. Opponent's turn, while you have a red Digimon in play, this Digimon gains blocker. So do keep in mind, this does not say other red Digimon, just a red Digimon. So if you Digivolve this into one of your Digimon that is dual color, red and black, it does trigger its own blocker inheritable by itself. So that is really important to make sure your opponent cannot swing back at you after you've done your damage. It's an awesome important level 4, which is why we are maxing it out. Then let's continue with the old cards first. We have the Greymon from Booster Set 5. This one is 2 to Digivolve from a red level 3, 5000 DP, but then it also has the effect, when Digivolving, if this Digimon has Agumon in its name, gain 1 memory. So this is a really great momentum card to be able to Digivolve for only 1 memory. Paired with the X Antibody forms in this deck and Cool Boy that we will see later, this could potentially give you so much momentum to extend your turns, so it's really important there, and we were going to toss in a couple copies of it. Its inheritable is also really nice, giving you plus 2000 6,000 DP if your name has Greymon or Omnimon in it, which again, similar logic to the rookies mentioned before. It just helps you live over stuff in security, so you're not worried about it as much since we don't have battle protection. Now, you may be asking, why are we running this when we have a black rookie? So this can only digivolve from red, so we might be able to whiff there. Well, the answer is we have this Agumon X Antibody, so if it comes down to it, we could digivolve over that since it only needs Agumon, so it can digivolve over that and now meet the requirements of being a red level 3 for this Greymon. And truthfully, this is only one of your rookies in a 14 card lineup, so the odds where you will be breaking because this guy can't evo over that are truly fairly low, so you don't have to worry about it as much. Then we have the new Greymon introduced in this set, booster set 11, which is Greymon X Antibody. So this is an original Digimon that did not exist before this year. I don't know if it was made specifically for this card game, but like it basically went up into the card game as soon as it was revealed, like the day after. So that's very interesting trivia there. It digivolves 3 from a red or black level 3, 6,000 DP. It can digivolve for 0 from a Greymon, and then your turn, well, Digimon would digivolve into a card with Greymon in its name, reduce the Digivolution cost by 1 for each color of that card. So that alone is absurd, because you used to have a 4 cost MetalGreymon to balance it out, but because it's dual color, you can digivolve into it for 2 costs over this guy. It's just way too much momentum in this card off of that alone, but then we see it's inheritable. All turns, when this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name and an effect would delete it or return it to your hand or deck, you may return 1 X Antibody in this Digimon Digivolution card to the bottom of its owner's deck to prevent it from leaving play. So you see how it specifies an effect would delete it. But because of the nature of stuff introduced in BT11, it is arguably more important to have this because it protects you from being returned to deck and stuff like that. Because some of the decks that you'll be rising up in booster set 11 are like All Force Vigimon, which bounces the hand, Mastemon, which can do stuff that deletes through effect, you know, stuff like that. Also, Bloomlore will be bottom decking you, so that protection is arguably more important than the battle protection now. And it's just like, we don't even care about that as much as we do as the effect to reduce cost by 2. That paired together is absurd and just outclasses the booster set 9 Greymon. Maybe you could try doubling up on them for maximum protection at all times, but like the other cards are really important to your field presence as well. So we're just gonna max out on this lineup here. This card is absurd and one of the biggest, you know, key factors to boosting this deck to absurd levels. Okay, so our ultimate lineup, we only have 8 of them because we're only going to focus on the ones we really need. First up, let's look at the old Greymon, or rather MetalGreymon from booster set 8. It's supposed to digivolve for 4 from a red or black level 4, but because of that Greymon we saw, you're usually going into this for 2, which is pretty crazy. It has 8,000 DP. When digivolving, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3,000 DP or less, which is really nice for tempo, and in matchups like Armors, pretty much like completely seals them out of the game. Then he has the Inheritable. While this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machine in its traits, it can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimons. So that really makes your opponent's Digimon unsafe from your attacks. That is such a huge important momentum to be able to just snipe their big boss monster that they thought was safe because they couldn't, you know, because they didn't leave it unsuspended. Really great momentum to be able to swing into your opponent's Digimon and snipe anything that's becoming a big problem or going to be a big problem next turn. Yeah, MetalGreymon does a lot. And then we have MetalGreymon X, new one introduced here in booster set 11, supposed to digivolve for 4 from a red or black level 4, 8,000 DP, digivolves for 1 from MetalGreymon, and then when digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, your opponent's Digimon can't reduce this Digimon's DP and it can't de-digivolve it. So that's really useful in case you know, into the security control matchup and stuff like that. Then as Digimon has MetalGreymon or X Antibody in its Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. So it says these cards' names specifically. It does not say in their names. So it specifically has to be MetalGreymon or the option card X Antibody in its sources to get that deletion effect. Then it has the Inheritable. Once per turn, opponent's turn, when a Digimon becomes unsuspended, if this Digimon name contains Greymon or Omnimon, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So if you noticed earlier in the video, BlackWarGreymon has reboots. So this does trigger the reboot, does trigger the Inheritable here. So if you're attacking with BlackWarGreymon X, you're basically guaranteeing 2 security removed at any time because of the Inheritable effect if you have it live. So that is a very powerful Inheritable effect, just to give you protection, but also just to put huge pressure on your opponent's security. It's an amazing combo. We get to the exciting part of the list now with our megas. We've gone over BlackWarGreymon and why he is so good, just giving extra protection to this deck and more control options so your opponent has a harder time swinging over you guys or into your security at all. Then we have BlackWarGreymon himself. Obviously, all of our top end in the mega level digivolves from this guy for reduced cost, so we have to run them. However, they're all very good and self-sustaining on their own right, so we don't need to digivolve over him specifically. It definitely just depends on the matchup and stuff like that. So he is 4 from a red or black level 5, 12,000 DP. When digivolving, if this Digimon has a red source, choose any number of your opponent's Digimon, and if it has a black source, choose any number of your opponent's Tamers. Then the chosen card's play cost must add up to 6 or less. Delete the chosen cards. This is incredible because like if they have like a 2 cost and 3 cost Tamer, which is pretty common in certain decks, you just delete their Tamers on the field. You can delete any mix of Digimon as well. You can swing over the Digimon and just delete all their Tamers. Really good potential here. And then all turns when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, you may unsuspend this Digimon. Very fantastic to make sure you're your guy is protected and not worried about being swung back into after attacking or digivolving or something like that. Then we have Gaiomon. It is 5 to digivolve from a red or black level 5. 13,000 DP, which is huge. You could digivolve for 2 from BlackWarGreymon. This card is also treated as having Greymon in its name. It has security attack +1 and reboot naturally. And when digivolving, if this Digimon has a black Digivolution card, digivolve 1 of your opponent's Digimon. If this Digimon has a red Digivolution card, Blitz. So again, fantastic to be able to get more pressure into your opponent's security, more control by digivolving something that they needed on their next turn. And then also it does pair their reboot as well, pairs with this MetalGreymon Inheritable, so you get to trash another security off of a Blitz swing with this guy. Really good synergy with our low end there. And finally, to wrap up this profile, we have our options and tamers. So let's start off right away with this absolutely absurd, insane card that is really breaking this deck. That is Hades Force. It is 7 memory, but when you would use this card, if you have a Digimon with X Antibody and its Digivolution cards in play, reduce the memory cost of this card by 2. Main, choose any number of your opponent's Digimon and tamers whose total play cost adds up to the play cost of one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name in play or less, and delete them. Then, one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name may attack your opponent. Security, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. For 5 memory, this card is simply absurd. I'm sure the logic was that you have to build the stack to actually use this effectively, and that'll like slow it down and make it other decks tempo, but no, like once you go into MetalGreymon X, this guy already has a play cost of 8. That is more than enough to be able to like delete stuff very efficiently on the field. You clear multiple tamers, you clear multiple Digimon, and all of that for only 5. So if you're using that at 2 memory, your opponent goes to 3, which they would have with the memory tamer anyways. This card is simply absurd. It's so powerful because like being dual colored cost doesn't even balance it either. Half of your deck is dual color, you know, like everything from champion up that is relevant to the deck meets the dual color requirement. So like you're never worried about meeting that. You know, you're basically just going to be using this on like MetalGreymon if it gives you enough early momentum tempo. Otherwise, once you're into BlackWarGreymon, there is no coming back from a Hades Force. It's such a strong card. We are running 3 of it. I think 4 of any option card is inherently pretty bricky, especially since we need space for X Antibody and our tamers. So I think 3 is a really good middle ground, so you see it early enough, but not too early. Then we have X Antibody option. So I think everyone is very familiar with what this card does by now after the dominance of BT9 decks. Lets you digivolve when attacking into the X Antibody form up above in the next level. So that's really good to be able to swing, go into your guys with into your X Antibody forms, and then get their wind digivolving effects off, get some benefits off of Cool Boy. And then of course these cards effects, you know, we need them in their sources for their effect. I believe it's Greymon X. Yeah, it has to have the antibody option in there for their protection effect. So we were running it at 3. Same logic for 3 copies. Is we just don't want our brick at 4 because like you know you'll see it most likely at 3. Then we have Yuuya. So this is really more of a North American tech, I feel, because this is like for the security control matchup, and you'll see why in a second. It is 4 memory to Heart Slam. It is a memory tamer, and then your turn when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with Greymon in its name. By suspending this tamer, that Digimon gets plus 2,000 TP until the end of your opponent's turn. If it digivolves into a same level Digimon, that Digimon isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's option cards until the end of your opponent's turn. So security control has traditionally been a very popular deck here in North America, and it's really only going to continue to be more popular unless like something crazy happens. So Yuuya is a really good tool of there just to include to be able to like have answers to that, so they can't clap you back next turn, they can't remove you with an option or whatever like that. It completely nullifies it. So that's really awesome there. And then there's some like stray decks that will use options to remove you as well, like Commandramon, you know. So it's really good to have that as an option at the very least, and it guarantees you your 3 memory for big plays. But we have 4 Cool Boys here to make sure we have enough memory if we really need it. He's only 2 memory, which is crazy. On play, reveal the top 3 cards, and you get to add 1 Digimon card with X Antibody and 1 option card with X Antibody in their traits. And then when one of your Digimon digivolves into a same level Digimon with X Antibody in its traits, you get to draw 1 and gain 1 memory. So like these guys are going to be coming out of your security for free. You're going to be playing them for 2 at 1 memory to choke your opponent. You know, you're going to have multiple of these guys out, and a lot of your deck really wants their like X Antibody forms anyways. So it's going to be really easy to trigger this guy, gain memory to continue extending your turn, and it searches a lot of the most important pieces of this deck. You know, X Antibody is crucial to having their protection. It searches the BlackWarGreymon X, it searches Greymon X. It's really good here to max out at 4. I think you could definitely play around with this ratio, like drop that and go a 3-3 split if you're really worried about security control, or you could drop this and like up this Greymon particularly to be able to get more a bit more of an even curve of 11 champions and another cheap Digivolution cost in this Greymon. So that's a ratio you could definitely play around with. But yeah, this deck is absolutely amazing. It has really great matchups into the entire meta because like All Force Digimon is something that people are really going to try to make work, even though it loses pretty hard to this deck, because this deck has a great matchup into it because it relies on its tamers coming out for it to be able to do all these crazy combos. So to be fair, their combo revolves on them playing the tamers on their turn. So like it's not the biggest thing in the world if you're killing their early Tamers, but if you do get it like super early, it completely shuts down their momentum and clears board and stuff like that. Really good matchup into Bloomlord because again, you have protection against most of their removal. You could blow up their huge wide board. Like you'll get rid of that easily with Hades Force. You'll get rid of that easily with like a bunch of other stuff like BlackWarGreymon naturally, you know, stuff like that. It's really good answer into a lot of its wide boards. And then it has the speed to keep up with MetalGreymon and stuff like that. And then it has redirection. It has multiple blockers. So unless they're able to bounce or get like tons of restands in like the full combo, you even if they are, you know, you're gonna be able to like stop them from that making that full combo be able to beat you that turn. So at the very least, like you make their life a lot harder. This is definitely going to possibly be the best deck in boosted set 11, at least now from what we know. Like MetalGreymon is absolutely going to give this thing a run for its money because it's basically who doesn't brick, you know, who builds better and faster. But definitely a good deck to consider for the upcoming format. I don't really think you struggle into too much. Great matchup into Mastamon because you just delete all their stuff, their Tamers before they can set up, which they rely on even more now in the new support. So yeah, amazing deck. Answers to just about everything in the meta. I have a lot of fun with it because it's not even a hard deck to pilot. You know, it's pretty straightforward in what it wants to do. Once you read your cards and you see how the line climbs, you get a general idea of what you want to do every turn. So yeah, very great deck. Like if it's I'm not sure what price is going to be at. It's probably going to be pricey, but if it's not too bad, then this is a great deck to get people into the game, I do believe, because it's a really strong deck that is easy to understand. So let me know what you guys think of it. Let me know if you're looking forward to boosted set 11 and what changes you are going to make to your Greymon deck that is different from my list. I wish you guys the best of luck. As always, no YouTuber's word is gospel. These are just a base list for you guys to start playing around with. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you'd like for me to improve, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.